Welcome everyone to another episode of Starmade Heck yeah! In today's episode we wanna try a few things with logic, of course. What did you expect, guys? We need to test a few things out and also come up with a few contraptions. So that's what we're gonna do today. Just a little bit of experimenting around using logic gates, and hopefully we can, do some nice things, and maybe you can even come up with better contraptions to make in the comment section. So let's not waste any more time and get started right away. Okay, so I thought a little bit about it, and the question is, what can we do that is really, going to be impressive and not just, switching a lever and opening a door. Everyone can do that. So I thought we start small, still with maybe a light show of some sorts. That's what we could do. And of course I had to test something out. If we place some antimatter cannons, just like that, with an activation module on top, we select that and connect it with the computer, then we can actually fire, sending a signal from this activation block. And of course, together with all the other logic, there might be an implementation for some kind of fireworks. So let me experiment a little bit more and I'll be right back. Well, so instead of just going with a light show, I thought we could integrate this with a password lock for this door. So if you remember, whoop, I have been in a vehicle and I didn't even realize it. But anyways, if you remember, there is a door right here that I want to password lock with redstone, no, sorry, with Starmade logic. But nevertheless, the light show will, on the other side, if the password is, set incorrectly, shoot whatever the hell is in front of here doing the wrong thing with my freaking password lock. So we are gonna add potentially a bunch of antimatter cannons. We are gonna color them differently, maybe also place them a little bit further apart, and hopefully we can get a nice, laser light show going whenever someone enters the wrong password. But yeah, I will have to do some figuring out. I'll be right back. Alright guys, let's do this together. I thought this through a little bit, and the thing about this system is that it might be exploitable. It will be exploitable, of course, because I can just walk up to a door and hit the R key in order to open it up. But let's imagine, I'm in a single player world right here. It doesn't really matter. We can still have a look behind the mechanic in order to, do a combination. And if that combination is wrong, then something else will happen. You can use this for any concept. It doesn't have to be a door. But let's say our code is going to be, an easy one, just so we don't run into trouble. This one right here. This is the right code in order to open up this door. Then we are going to activate this module to finally open it up. So this is like the confirmation button. Later on, this is going to be exchanged with a pressure plate, or a step-on module, I believe it is called. But nevertheless, the player has to stand on it in order to confirm the code, and if the code is wrong, then we have a bunch of antimatter cannons that are gonna make the end of the player, hopefully. At least that's what we are gonna go for. So this is the correct code. Let's now program that in. We want to have an AND signal, right? So let's actually add that right here. And now we want to C for select that, and V for connect with it. We want to connect all of these up with this AND gate. This AND gate will then only send out a signal once all of them are activated. Now if we connected that, for instance, to some of these doors, and we, switch that on and off, you can see how it works. Now the thing is, the door is closed when all of these are active, but it should be open, of course, right? So we have to change that around, and of course we can do that with a NOT gate. Let's see, do I have it? Or NOT signal, right there. We're gonna add that right here. We can simply select this one right here, connect it up with the NOT gate, and instead of connecting this one with the gates, we can deselect them again. We're gonna connect the NOT gate with the gates. With the door, I should say. But nevertheless, if we do it now, it is actually functioning properly. It is opening the door when we activate all of the 4 modules, and if any other combination is active, then it will not open the door. Now the next step is to make a condition so in any other case these cannons will activate. Now before we do that, we should actually also hook up this guy to the AND loop. So we're gonna connect this to this guy as well. And now we are going to need all 5 modules in order to activate it. So also the confirmation button is needed. Now the confirmation button we also want to hook up to the cannons, but of course they should only shoot if the wrong combination is active. So right now we can actually add an activation module. I believe that should be good. Let's hook it up to this NOT gate. So we're going to connect this NOT gate to the activation module and let's see what happens. There we go. So whenever we activate the confirmation button, this activation module will shut off, which means we can use this for another condition. So this one will now connect to the cannons, and it will be using an AND gate in order to figure out whether or not the combination is correct. So now let's see what happens when we connect this activation module to some of the cannons right there. So when we open up the door, nothing happens, but when we close it, they shoot. So that's not what we want. What we actually want is the other way around, of course. So let's use another NOT signal, connect this up, and the NOT signal to the cannons, and now they should work correctly. Oh, let's see. They were still on cooldown, it appears, but they are now shooting whenever we open up the door. I'm not sure why they didn't work the first time, but they do now. Cool. But of course, now we have the correct signal and they still shoot. So that's the next problem we have to address. To get around this problem, I removed the part at the back here and I thought of a more elegant solution. We're gonna add an AND gate. This AND gate is gonna activate the antimatter cannons. Now of course it needs a few conditions. The first condition is the activation button is being pressed. That is the first condition. So now whenever we open up the door, the cannons will shoot. Now we need a second condition, thus we're going to need another activation module. The second condition is that the wrong code is input, which means if any of these 3 are activated, then we want the cannons to shoot. So let's connect these up to this activation module. Whenever any of these are active, we want this one here to activate. There we go. And of course that also means we want to connect this one here to the AND gate. Now we need both conditions, so if I open up the door with the correct code, we can open up without any issues, but if any of these are active, the cannons will shoot. But of course there could also be a wrong combination with those 4 guys. So we want to install a NOT gate right here, a NOT signal. So whenever any of these are not active, then we want the cannons to shoot as well. So just gonna hook up all of the correct levers or activation modules, and we're gonna select this one, hook it up to this activation module, and that's all there is to it. Now, whenever we have the correct code, nothing shoots, and even if we have a wrong combination like this, the cannons will now shoot. Easy as that. Pretty good. So that means we have to check. This one is hooked up to those 2 guys because I want to exchange this one with pressure plates or a trigger area controller. No, that is not good because then the player has no time to enter the code. So we're going to exchange that with this pressure plate thing, and we are going to hook it up again to the 2 blocks that we had before, and now we actually have to step on it in order to activate the door. Of course we also want to hook this up to all of the antimatter cannons that we have so far. There's 2 more here, and there's actually 4 more beams up here that I have installed. And of course I've also brought a bunch of lights with me, so let's go with yellow. Actually do I have blue? Blue? No, yes, I do have some blue. So that's great. We're gonna have a blue block right here, and just for symmetry purposes we're gonna have something like that. Blue, red and yellow. Okay, now I believe we can hook these up like so. No, we have to do it the other way around. Yeah, there we go. So select this one and then connect it with the light. This one is gonna be red, red, and those guys down below are gonna be blue. You're gonna be blue, and whoop, blue, and the last one. There we go. So let's see how that looks. And oh no, I have to step on it now. That sucks. Okay, let's step on it then. If I manage to get out of it, there we go. Woohoo! Let's see what happens. The door, at least the door doesn't open, but I cannot really observe it like that. Okay, but it seemed to work. At least the right one here was a blue beam. Ah, well, maybe we're gonna work with activation modules nevertheless. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but we have to fix this area, just, you know, fix up the floor, maybe add some more lights, but generally the idea of a lock combination, or, you know, you can think of so many concepts. Probably for the door it was just easy to exemplify. But there we go, I'm happy with it. Alright, so to take this concept of logic to the next step, I prepared a little something. Right now it doesn't do much, but it is definitely hooked up to at least one digit number, as you can see, and these represent all of the numbers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 to 9, and this one here is number 0. Of course, each module just simply activating the right segments right there. Now, of course, you can also hook this up to lamps. It doesn't have to be activation blocks, but the normal lamps, they were not distinguished enough from the off state. So I decided for the activation modules, at least until I get something better. Nevertheless, we can now also activate the whole thing from right here. So I can, for instance, display, let's get rid of the GUI, the number 5, but I can also get rid of that and display number 4 instead, and so on and so forth. So you can see we are about to build maybe a calculator. You can go really crazy because you are not limited to how you have to place things like a redstone. So if you don't know, I have built a calculator, at least a calculator where you can add two numbers together in Minecraft, and maybe that's also possible in here. It should totally be possible with the new logic that we have gotten. So that's maybe a project for the future that we can also take on, which might be interesting. But let's have a look at even something different. Well guys, this got me thinking for a while. There's a few things that I'm still missing in the logic in order to go really crazy, and that is some kind of a mechanic in order to push blocks around. It could also be something to pick them up and put them back where they were. That would also be great. But at the moment, in terms of minigames and redstone logic, or I'm always calling it redstone logic, but I should call it Starmade logic. It's gonna be Starmade logic from now on, because it's different and it's gonna be handled differently, but we still want to go, you know, crazy. Yeah, crazy. And for that I need to be able to push blocks around or exchange them with different blocks. That's definitely something that I need. So I kind of got stuck there just experimenting around with making a 4Connect game. I also had the idea of using damaging and repairing beams with different states for each player. So depending on how damaged the block is, the player will have selected this block, and in the end we would have a reset switch with which we could repair all of the blocks. But that still means I have to be able to push blocks around and exchange them. I cannot have damaging beams and repairing beams next to each other. Also not on a protected planet. They won't really do anything. They will repair, but they will not damage. I could no, I could not even damage it myself because this planet is protected. But there are even more issues on this planet. For instance, gravity-wise, the update kind of screwed this planet over because, you know, in general the planets are now different. Just like this one over there. Jeez, that's scary. But nevertheless, I think I will slowly but surely come to an end with this episode. Let's see with what we can wrap it up. Well guys, it has been once again a pleasure if you made it so far into the episode. There's one more thing I want to tell you from the from the bottom of my heart. And what else shows better in my case other than some kind of a contraption? Guys, I really do. Guys, have a great time. I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye bye.